I'm Abrielle Millett for BYU-Idaho Radio, and I'm here on the phone with Carol Cole. She's a board member of the Dark Sky Alliance. They have a new observatory, the Sawtooth Observatory, opening up this week. And this is super exciting, Carol. I'm excited to talk to you about this. Before we kind of get into that, can you tell us a little more about who you are and kind of your role with this new observatory that's opening up in Stanley, Idaho?
Sure. I started working with the Central Idaho Dark Sky Reserve, the designated area within Central Idaho that is recognized for having super dark night skies. And when I still worked for the Forest Service, and we were on the planning part of the effort, and I was the Forest Service representative for that planning effort, and that started in, I think, 2016. And then by the end of 2017, our application to become a dark sky reserve was sent in to the Dark Sky International. It's an international organization that designates dark sky sites all over the world. And it was accepted. So we became the first dark sky reserve in the U.S. In December of 2017. And then, the Dark Sky Reserve covers just over 900,000 acres, and it includes the cities of Stanley, Sun Valley, Ketchum, and Blaine County, and a large portion of National Forest System land within the Sawtooth National Recreation Area. So there were a lot of moving pieces, and we kind of decided as a group that it would be easier to have a central organization to kind of organize the efforts that we were doing. So in 2021, the Idaho Dark Sky Alliance was formed as a nonprofit organization. And we work with those other entities to coordinate efforts within the Dark Sky Reserve. Our mission is to protect the night sky and reduce light pollution within the Central Idaho Dark Sky Reserve through education and advocacy. So we work towards that every day. And we also offer education programs about astronomy. That's something that people are interested in. So that's kind of how we got to be where we are now. And and I just stayed with the organization after I retired from the Forest Service and have been involved with the board since then.
Yeah, so this has been going on for about 7-8 years, you said, with the Dark Sky Alliance, and it's the first one you said in the U.S. Can you, for those who might not be as familiar with what a dark sky is or what that represents, can you help our audience understand what that means or the significance of having dark sky and how that affects looking at the night sky for observatories and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, sure. As I mentioned, Dark Sky International is the overall organization that designates dark sky sites throughout the world. And there's over 250, I believe, now designated. And those dark sky places include Dark Sky Reserve, which we are one. There was another Dark Sky Reserve in the U.S. established I believe it was, 5 years ago or something like that in Texas, a really big one that's centered around the McDonald Observatory there. But there are other types of dark sky designations, and you may be familiar with some of those. Dark sky parks, a lot of national parks are designated as dark sky parks, but there are also several in Idaho. Craters of the Moon is a dark sky park that's designated. Bruno Dunes State Park is one, and also City of Rocks. And then another designation is dark sky communities. And right now, I believe the only dark sky community in Idaho is the city of Ketchum. And they were designated also in 2017 when we became a dark sky reserve. So what that means is all of these entities have agreed to protect their night skies and work toward reducing light pollution. And in whatever way that means, in cities, it would be working with a local ordinance that would address nighttime lighting throughout the community. And also for us as a dark sky reserve, that was a requirement that the communities and areas within the reserve had to have a dark sky ordinance that addressed lighting at night, and also, promoting education about that. So that's kind of what Dark Sky International does, and so we're a part of a much bigger organization with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And with these ordinances, it kind of allows, you said, it reduces the light pollution, which makes it easier to see the night sky. And especially, you said, for a lot of national parks, for observatories, all that kind of thing. What is something that you found special continuing to like support this program, and what has it meant for you?
Well, I think for one, light pollution is a type of pollution that a lot of people aren't familiar with. I mean, they know a bright light when they see it, but they may not think about, the broader impacts of having that artificial light at night and what that means for wildlife and human health and even agricultural crops. And, there's all kinds of issues associated with light pollution and artificial light at night, which can have serious health effects and disrupt ecological systems and wildlife migrations and all kinds of things. So it's a maybe not a well-known type of pollution that we may be familiar with, but it's one that does have broad impacts that I think we're beginning to understand that in the broader science community. So there are concerns, but there's also just the aspect of how the night sky inspires everyone. And it's part of our shared heritage across time and across the globe, really. We all see kind of the same night sky. A little bit different, I guess, if you're in the northern hemisphere versus the southern hemisphere, but we all look up and see stars and planets and other types of deep sky objects. So it's something that we all share, and I think it's something that I always say I've never met anyone who says they would like to go outside at night and see fewer stars. So I think it's a shared interest and inspiration for people. It's also, I think, something that's important because just as no one ever says they want to see fewer stars, as we get more people and cities grow and people put out more lights and technology changes, that we're probably not going to have fewer lights. So it's important that we design those lights and install lights that are designed in a way that will prevent light pollution, whether that means they have shields so that the light points down, or they're a warmer color temperature, or they're just less bright, or they're on timers, or however that works. But it's just important that we all kind of that we all pay attention to that, because it's something that, again, we all share and something that I think we all appreciate.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's a lot to consider when it comes to light pollution. And like you said, a lot that's maybe unknown in general by the public. But that's one of the things that you guys are working towards, is to help people get more educated on that, and also just like the Dark Sky Alliance and what you guys stand for. When it comes to this observatory that has been built, what has been that process been like, and how excited are you guys to have this new observatory?
Well, it's been very exciting. The observatory itself, I think we broke ground. It's up in the Pioneer Park in Stanley. If people are familiar with Stanley, it's up kind of by the airport and the ball field that's up there. And we broke ground, I believe it was in May of 2025. So it's been just a little bit over a year, which is amazing that we got that done. And given the winters in Stanley where there was no work happening there for a while. But so it was really exciting. And it started, again, the reserve was established in 2017. And then, we kind of came into being as a nonprofit organization, the Alliance, in 2021. So, between that time, we were kind of figuring out, it's like, well, how do we make this happen? And just out of the blue, I got an email through our Dark Sky email from someone who said they had a telescope they'd like to donate. And she had her brother lived in Chalice and unfortunately had passed on, and he had a telescope, but he was an amateur astronomer, but he had a really nice telescope. So she was looking for a place, who might be interested in having that. And we looked at it and said, yeah, that would be great. So at that point, we had a telescope, but we didn't really have anywhere that we could install it because it was big enough that it really needed to be installed permanently. It wasn't a telescope that you're just going to, pull out of your garage every night and set up. So we thought about it for a while, and then eventually, again, we just until the spring of last year, we were looking for how we could put that up and where that might work. And graciously, the city of Stanley agreed that we could build the observatory on city land there in the city park. So that was fabulous, and it gave us kind of a home base then. So worked on it. We had a couple of volunteers, Tim and Terry, who worked on it for did pretty much all of the work over the time to get it ready. It's actually made from logs that were reclaimed from a house that was torn down. So that's kind of another cool story of repurposing those logs. We think that it's probably the only log roll-off roof observatory in the U.S., or at least the first one. Other people may like that now, but it fits well in the city of Stanley. So
that's awesome. And this, the first lighting or the first time people are going to be able to come see it is on July 18th, right?
Yes. So we're having the opening event there. It's called the First Light Ceremony, when the first light hits the telescope in its permanent location. And that will be at 8:30. It'll start at 8:30 on July 18th up in the park at the observatory. We'll have some beverages and cookies and just some time for people to mingle and chat. And then we'll have and a few board members will say a few words, and then we'll walk down to the observatory. Tim will talk a little bit about how it was built and some of the features of the observatory there. And then hopefully we will have a beautiful clear sky that night, and we'll roll the roof off, and the telescope, people can look through the telescope to see what's up in the sky that night. We will have a few other telescopes set up outside, so it's not just one telescope. And then also we'll have a couple star guides, local naturalists who are star guides, who will also help identify constellations and things just with the naked eye.
Yeah, that's awesome, just because, I feel like a lot of people have interests, but maybe don't know where exactly to start. So that'll be nice that there'll be people who can help point out and help them learn a little bit more about these stars and kind of like the cosmos in general, because it's at night and it's Idaho. So it might be a little cold for people. So should they bring some things to stay warm, because it's outdoor. I mean, the observatory's a little indoors, but yeah, they might be outdoors.
But the observatory is pretty small. It's a 16 by 20 foot structure, so you're not going to fit a lot of people in there at any one time. So yeah, people should definitely, it's pretty warm. The weather's been really warm here for a while. Even in Stanley, it's been warm, but it'll cool off definitely when the sun goes down. So people might want a jacket or, whatever you would want for an evening in the mountains. And then also we suggest that people, maybe want to bring a chair or a blanket if they want to stay longer and just kind of hang out and look at the stars. It's a lot more comfortable to have a chair or a blanket to lie down on than, craning your neck back all the time to look up at the stars. So that's just a suggestion in general for stargazing. And I was going to mention that the observatory will be a base for some of our programs going forward, but we have been doing programs throughout the reserve since 2017, doing public programs about astronomy topics and light pollution and, kids programs and other things. So we'll continue to do those programs throughout the reserve. And the observatory, though, will be a great place as kind of a hub for some of those programs in the Stanley area.
Yeah, and to find these events or more events or programs that you guys are offering, would they go to your website?
Yeah, you can check our website at idahodarksky.org, or we also have an Instagram account that we keep updated as well. So those are great places to go and find some information.
A question that I had is once the Sawtooth Observatory is open, I guess how would the public be free to visit whenever? Would they have to have an appointment? Would it only be when you guys have like programs happening, or what kind of use will it have once it's open?
Yeah, the observatory will not be open to the public just for people to go in and look through the telescope on their own. I mean, it's a major piece of equipment that's there, and so it will be the observatory itself will be open when we're offering programs there, or if people have a request for a group or a school group or whatever, we can try to arrange someone there to meet it. But we are an all volunteer organization, so our people and our funds are somewhat limited to fulfill everyone's request. But we try to do those, when we can accommodate special requests. In the future, we hope to raise funds so we can put some interpretive signs there at the observatory site. So that way, when people come and the observatory isn't open, there would still be some educational messages there that they could see and help them navigate the night sky on their own.
Okay, that's awesome. That's good to know. The accessibility and that'll be awesome when you guys have events and programs being put on there, and then people can continue to learn more and look into this observatory and also your program as a whole, the Dark Sky Alliance and the Reserve. Do you have anything more that you would like to add to talk about the program?
We hope that the observatory and our broader programs do just inspire people to get out and appreciate the night sky. And then also, take it home with them and look at lights and things around their house of ways that they can reduce their own impact on light pollution. I mean, every little light that we turn out is one less light that will help us be able to continue to see the night sky and be inspired by the stars.
And I love this opportunity with this observatory opening, just that awareness and, like you said, that hopefully increased interest in the night sky and the world around us. I think this is a great opportunity for people to learn more. And like you said, we all have this connection to the sky. It's something that we can all see. Yeah, if you want, you can tell us a little bit about what the Sawtooth Observatory will look like, or the telescope itself.
Yeah, so the observatory itself is designed as a roll-off roof observatory. I mean, it's not the dome shape that you may be familiar with for observatories, so it looks more like a small shed or a small building. And then to access the sky so that the telescope is inside the building, the roof actually rolls off onto outriggers. So that's how it opens the building to the night sky as opposed to having a dome. So that's kind of a different kind of observatory than what people may be expecting. And then the telescope that was donated was a 14-inch telescope, and it's a Celestron Edge HD telescope. It also has several lenses and separate things that will help people to see the night sky in different ways.
Lensing can definitely help. Like you said, you'll observe different things with different lenses.
Yeah. Oh, and then I will also add that the next program coming up at the observatory will be for the Perseid meteor shower in August. We'll be in Stanley on August 11th, and then we'll also be doing a second Perseid Palooza. It's our fourth year of doing the Perseid Palooza in the Wood River Valley, and we'll be at the Sawtooth Botanical Garden for that on the 12th.
I'm Abrielle Millett for BYU-Idaho Radio, and I've been here on the phone with Carol Cole. She's a board member of the Dark Sky Alliance, and they're having their first light of the Sawtooth Observatory Saturday, July 18th at 8:30 p.m., and it's at Pioneer Park in Stanley, Idaho. Thank you so much, Carol, for talking to me and kind of telling us some more about this observatory that's coming up and just the program as a whole. This is super exciting. So thank you so much for your time.
Sure, and everyone take time to look up and be amazed.